What's up, everybody? So I'm currently in the truck on the way to go pick up a new engine for my car. I found one on the north side of Atlanta. Me and my buddy Terry driving up there to pick up a new motor, and hopefully I'll have this thing running before Monday. So if I get it running before Monday, I'll post this video up. So yeah, I'll pick back up when we get to the motor. All right, guys, so we made it up here to the scrap yard, or the salvage yard that I'm buying the engine from. These people are being very helpful and very nice. They're actually going to come back up here and open up just to give me my engine. They closed about an hour ago, but they said they would come back and open up just to put the engine in the truck for me so that I can get my car going. So really big shout out to these people. I'm really grateful that they're coming back up here to load the engine up. So the guy is supposed to be about 10-15 minutes out. Once he gets here, load the engine up, get it back to the house. I'm gonna start pulling the freaking motor and see if I can get this thing running in a day and a half. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, so we just got the engine. It came with the entire wiring harness, so now I've got 2 spare wiring harnesses that I don't need. Didn't come with the turbos. I didn't think it was going to. And a lot of the bi-pipes and the Y-pipes there, but the bi-pipes aren't there. There's some other little miscellaneous stuff that's not there, but most important thing that I need, blocking the heads and the intake is all there. It looks like it's out. Looks relatively similar to the engine that's in the car currently, so I should be able to just plug my other wiring harness into it. I'm hoping I don't have to change the intake manifold and all the sensors and stuff, but if I have to, I have to. But I'm hoping to have this thing running before Monday, so I'm gonna freaking bust ass when I get home. We're just now leaving from the north side of Atlanta. I'm had to stop and pick up some Burger King, kill these munchies that we got, and then head back to the house and unload this bad boy. And I'm gonna start yanking the freaking motor out of the car so that I can start switching over shit and get this thing bolted in. So I'm hoping to have all this done. So my engine blew 2 days ago. Yeah, so my engine blew 2 days ago. I just posted the video regarding the engine blowing up yesterday, and I'm hoping to have the engine back in the car running by the end of the day tomorrow night. So we'll see if I can pull this shit off. I really need this car. I didn't plan on spending the money that I had to spend, but got to do what I got to do. Situation calls for it, so we'll just see how it goes. Hopefully I'll be able to upload this video Monday and tell y'all that I got the car back on the road, and then I can move on to working on the Lexus again, and then possibly switch over to the Hyundai. So we'll see. All right, what's up, guys? So it's midnight. I just got done stripping the new motor down. I gotta pull all the stuff off the motor that's in the car, pull the motor out of the car, swap everything over. So, but it's pretty late, so I'm gonna go take a shower and get some rest and get back at it in the morning. All right, guys, it's about, I don't know, 1:45 in the afternoon the next day. I haven't been able to work on this thing because I thought somebody was coming to do a showing at my house today, and they canceled at the last minute. So I wasn't trying to work on this thing with having a showing, and now that they've canceled, I've wasted half of my damn day. But I'm gonna flip the camera around, show you how far I got last night, show you what I'm gonna start doing, and hopefully I'll have this thing in here by the end of the day. I don't know if I will because it's a lot of damn work, but I'm gonna try. So after I started stripping the engine down, I realized that it's a BEL engine and I have an APB motor. So it's BEL, I have an APB. It's got the push down coil packs, and the throttle plate is different. But the way they pulled this motor, they freaking cut everything. I mean, they chopped the damn turbos out of here, cut the freaking exhaust manifolds off, cut all the pipes and stuff. So I got to switch the exhaust manifold, and I was going to have to switch them anyway because the turbos are different on the BEL versus the APB. But the secondary air ports are broken, and I'm going to have to make a block off plate or something, because the engine that's in there now is an actual manual engine, and it doesn't have a secondary air. But that one's broken, all busted up, and this one's fucking broke off right there. So I gotta block those ports off. And then, like I say, they cut all the freaking lines. They even cut the oil return lines to the turbos, so, and bent the shit out of those. So then they cut the NOx sensor wires too, so I'm gonna have to switch the NOx sensors out. So it's a lot more work than I had planned. I'm probably not gonna be able to get this done today. It'll probably go into tomorrow getting it done, because they bent the shit out of the power steering line, so I gotta replace that. So I wasn't planning on doing any gaskets or anything on this thing, because it was a running engine. I don't know. I'm going to throw it in here and figure out what the hell I can do with it. But that's where I'm at. I'm going to finish tearing this one apart, get all these cut lines off of here, because like all these lines are cut. So I'm going to take all that shit off of here, take the torque converter off, take the flywheel off, remove the exhaust manifolds, get this thing basically where it's as light as possible. Because I'm doing it on dirt, and I cut up my plywood that I was using for a floor to make a roof for my well over there. So I don't know. I'll figure out what I'm gonna do, but yeah, so I got a lot of work to do to this one, got a lot of work to do to that one. I don't think I'm gonna get it done today, but we'll see how far I get. And then they broke the freaking oil filler cap. So I mean, they were rough as hell with this thing. When the dude was loading it in the truck, I mean, and I don't want to talk bad about him because the dude stayed late, or he came back to load the thing up. But I mean, they were like bulls in a china shop with this thing, because the freaking oil pan's got a crack in it now from how they were carrying it. So I got to replace the lower oil pan. Thank God nothing happened to my lower oil pan on my car. But it's just more work that I got to do. So I'm going to throw it in there the way it is. I'm going to order a factory Audi timing belt. I'm no longer ordering the Gates Racing timing belts. I'm just going to order one from a dealer. And I'm going to I'll replace all that stuff after I get this thing back on the road. Because this, like I said in the last video, this is my daily. And I really want to drive it. I mean, I've got the Veloster as a backup, and I can drive it, but I'd rather drive this car. So I'll pick back up after I make some more progress. All right, guys. So I was working on the engine and whatnot, and I'm having a bad freaking day. So I'm not going to be able to get this thing running today. Mentally, I'm not there. So I'll pick back up on it another day. I'm in my feelings today, and it's really fucking with me. So I don't know. I'll pick back up when I start working on it again. All right, guys. So it's the next day. I'm no longer in whatever the fuck funk I was in yesterday. So I'm gonna go start working on the car again. Hopefully I don't start thinking about random shit again and screw myself up, but I'm gonna go up front. I've already stripped down the entire replacement engine, so the only thing that's left on that engine is the block and the heads and the oil pan. I've taken everything else off. Now, it still has the timing belt. It still has the tensioners, or the serpentine tensioner and that kind of stuff. But it's essentially just the block and the heads. I took the intake manifold off, took the exhaust manifolds off, all AC lines, alternator, starter, AC compressors. So, because I'm going to use everything off of my engine except for the block and the heads. And then after I get my engine swapped out and I get this one in there and running, I'll pull the engine that was in the car apart and show you guys what happened to the cylinder head, so that we can have a little closure on exactly what happened to the engine. So, give you an update after I make some more progress. All right, guys, when I did my swap, apparently I missed a pretty important step on my cooling fans, and they have not been turning on as low as they're supposed to, because I forgot to change the damn sensor from the high temp sensor to the low temp sensor. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but I've got to switch out my lower temperature sensor so that I can get my fans cutting on at a lower temperature. So what's happening is the car is actually getting too hot. Even though the temp gauge in the car is reading correctly, it's getting hotter than what the car should be getting. It's not overheating per se, because I'd be boiling and all that stuff. But I have noticed that I've broken. I've had 2 water tanks crack on me, and then when I was removing the engine, trying to replace it this time, the whole freaking top of my radiator broke off. The plastic end cap where the upper radiator hose hooks up, the whole end of it broke off. Like, here's the whole freaking end of my radiator, just snapped off. You can see right there, broke off. All right, so, and then when I was disconnecting my heater hoses, one of my heater hose connections broke. So there's the end of it, and you can see it's still got a barb on there, so I'll be able to fix it and reuse it. I'll be playing Russian roulette with it, but the rest of it's still down inside the hose. So the system's getting too hot for the components in the system. Even though it's not necessarily overheating the engine and causing any problems that way, I have a feeling it's letting my turbos get too hot. It's not good for the engine. I promise you that. It's not good for the engine. So, but I screwed up. I'm going to admit it to the freaking world. I screwed up. I forgot to switch the lower temperature sensor for a lower degree temperature sensor. The original temperature sensor that's in there is rated for 112 degrees Celsius, so roughly like 234 degrees Fahrenheit. And the one that I'm supposed to have in there is set for 98 degrees Celsius, or Jesus Christ, I'm losing my mind. It's set for 198 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't remember what it is Celsius, but it's 198 degrees Fahrenheit, which is still a little bit on the high side, but because ideally I'd want it to turn on around 185, 190, but I can deal with 198. I am going to, because I'm seeing the heat related issues to this. So this is the first 2.7 swap that I've actually driven 50,000 miles this quick. When I did my last 2.7 swap, I didn't have the car very long, and I sold it so that I could buy this house. So I didn't have a chance to run it through all its paces and check for reliability and all that kind of stuff, which the 2.7 is not a very reliable motor to begin with. If you didn't know that, you know that now. The 2.7 is not known for reliability. So I'm trying to make sure that it's reliable, and I need to get the temps down. So I'm going to put a lower temp sensor in here and lower the temperature that the fans actually kick on. And then I'm also going to put a manual override switch in the dash so that I can turn them on if I feel like it's an extraordinarily hot day. Or I live very, very close to Atlanta, and I sit in Atlanta traffic all the freaking time. And I know that's horrible for this car, sitting in Atlanta traffic. So when I'm sitting in Atlanta traffic, I'll just leave the fan running at all times. So we'll just have to see what happens. But I figured I'd tell you all that, let you know what I'm experiencing as far as longevity goes. Now, everything else looked good. I did have a broken engine mount. So I don't know when that broke, but I've been beating the shit out of this car. I'm not going to deny it. I love this car, but I drive the ever-living shit out of it. I drive it like I stole it every day. But my passenger side engine mount was broken. Those are the only 2 issues that I have after 50,000 miles. I had a broken engine mount, and the temp is a little too hot. So I'm going to reduce the temperature by the sensor and by an override switch on the dash. And I'll have to replace the radiator. I'm going to replace my water tank again, just because I know from now that I've torn the engine apart and I'm seeing all this heat related issues, and that may have played a part in why the timing belt broke. I may have been overheating the timing belt. So this could help me make sure that this thing is way more reliable than what it was originally, and hopefully I can get 200,000 miles out of this thing. But that's what happens when you're working on custom cars. Nothing ever goes 100% perfect, and anybody that tells you it does is full of shit. You always have little bugs that you got to work out, and that was just me forgetting to do something. It's not that I didn't know to do it. I freaking totally forgot to put the different temp sensor in. When I pulled the lower radiator hose and I looked at the sensor, oh shit, that's not the blue sensor. I have a black sensor in there, and it's supposed to be a blue sensor. So yeah, I'll update you after I get this thing. I've got both of the engines out. I'll update you after I get the engine back in, and I'm gonna fix the cooling or the heater hoses, and then replace the coolant tank, replace the radiator, and get this thing back in here, and then I'll go over how to do the coil pack conversion, because like I said earlier, the new engine is an BEL and the old engine was an APB, and I'm going to use the upgraded coils and get rid of the ignition control modules. So I'm going to show y'all how to do that conversion. You don't have to buy a wiring harness conversion. You can do it with your own wiring. I'm not going to buy the little adapters. I'm just going to straight wire the shit. So, but I'm going to solder it, make it a permanent connection. The delete kits, you can actually remove that shit and put it back with ICMs and the old coil packs, but the way I'm going to do it is going to be permanent. So I keep getting interrupted by rain. This is taking way longer than I wanted it to. I really wish I had a shop, because I would have already had this done, but working outside like I have to, this is really slowing me down. But while it's hell, it wasn't just raining, now it's raining again. I was going to show you all the difference between the secondary air ports on the heads from a manual versus automatic, and all it is they've knocked a ball bearing down into the port for the secondary air on the manual transmission ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill and tap a 3/8 pipe plug, and then I'm going to put Teflon on it and put a 3/8 pipe plug in there and run it down. I'm not going to buy the secondary air plates. It's a waste of money. I can buy some pipe plugs for maybe $1 for 2 of them. And I've already got a pipe tap and all that. So, yeah, I'm going to do that. I was going to show you the differences, but it's raining. So I'll take a picture of it and show you. All right, guys, this has been one hell of a week. It is Friday. I think it's like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night. I just got done getting all the motor back together. Got basically everything's in there. I still have to do the one rear heater hose, and I'm getting ready to do the spark plug wire conversion, so that's why I started recording. So let me flip the camera around and show you what I'm working with. So what I'm getting ready to do, I know it looks like a jumbled mess in here, but what I'm getting ready to do is I'm actually going to take these and I'm going to switch them over to the 4-pin connectors, and then I'm going to remove these two and I'm going to straight wire these connections together. I'm going to just completely cut the connectors off and solder the wires together. So I'm going to pull up my diagrams and look at exactly how those are routed through the ICMs. And then on these 4 wires, really all you're adding is an additional ground wire. So all the 3 wires that are in here will be used on the new coil pack, and then you've got an additional ground, and I'll just run it to the intake manifold or valve cover, wherever I can find a good ground. But I'll more than likely daisy chain all of the grounds together and then run them to a single ground point. Or I may do one ground for this bank, for this bank over here, and then one ground for that bank over there. But everything's back together. So I still got the front end off of it and still got to put the bumper and all that on there. But I want to do the wiring without the front end in my way because I can get closer to the engine. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So I'll pick back up. I'll show the what I'm going to do for the wiring, and then hopefully I'll have first start here tonight. I don't know if I'll get it running tonight because my radiator's broke and I still got to go to the store and get a radiator. So I may not be able to start it until tomorrow morning, but we'll see what happens. All right, guys, so you just saw the wiring diagrams flash across the screen. The first two wiring diagrams are the 2.7 in its current state. The second two wiring diagrams are with the upgraded ignition coils. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the wiring over, put the 4-pin harness connectors in where the 3-pin harness connectors are, and then add that second ground for each bank, because I'm going to daisy chain 1, 3, and 5 together and do a single ground for those 3, and then I'm going to daisy chain 2, 4, and 6 together and do a single ground for those 3. And then the other 3 wires that are already existing are the wires that are going to be switched over to the new connectors. So, and then as far as the ICMs go, the wiring diagram does not actually break down how the wires transfer through the ICM. Well, what I did was I actually broke one of the ICMs apart so I could look at the circuit board and figure out how everything worked in there and how the wires transfer across, and I figured it out. So I'm gonna show how I do that. I'll actually show the inside of one of the ICMs so you can see how it's transferring stuff over, but it's a pretty basic circuit. So I'm gonna get back to doing the coils. When I cut back, well, I'll cut back and show the ICMs and how I'm bypassing the ICMs. And then after that, I'll cut back and I'll have the coil packs in it and have basically the whole car put back together, ready to start. I am having a little bit of trouble finding a radiator locally. Every Advanced Auto Parts, AutoZone, Napa, O'Reilly, none of them have my freaking radiator in stock. At least not within 100 miles. So I may not be able to get this thing running until I can order a radiator and have one freaking shipped in. Went and talked to Advance and the AutoZone that are local right here by my house, and both of them said it would take 2 to 3 days to get one because it's a factory direct order. And AutoZone said even though it says 2 to 3 day delivery, they may not even get it for up to 2 weeks. And Advance said they've been seeing some slower delivery times on FDO parts. So I don't know. I'll figure out what I'm going to do, but I'll cut back when I got the car back together, or when I'm doing the ICMs. So I'm currently cutting the wiring harness that came with the new BEL engine. I'm cutting it up so that I can get the connectors for the coil packs, because apparently when I was cleaning my house to put it on the market, apparently I sold the ones that were on, or I threw away the ones that were on my 3.0 wiring harness. So now I got to cut this 2.7 harness apart. So I'm going to steal all these connectors out of here for all 6 coils. And I'm going to repin my harness. But I'm going to show you how to do it if you don't have the ability to do this. I'll show you how to patch it in. Alright, so now I've removed everything out of the wiring harness and I've just got the coil pack connections. And I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. So this is a daisy chain for one of the ground connections. This is the daisy chain for the other ground connections. These are the individual wires that go to the ECU, and then this is power for the coils. So there's 2 grounds, a power, and then your wire going to your ECU for each one of the coil packs. Very, very basic system. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these connectors out. I'm going to plug them into the coil packs on the engine, and then I'm going to route them around the engine, figure out how I'm going to lay them out, and then I'll tap these wires into the existing wires. And then these, the power wires and the ground wires, I'm just going to ground them out and power them up off the original existing wires that are in the car, but I'm going to remove the entire 3-prong plug. I was going to solder these wires into the existing 3 wires. I'm going to remove those completely and just run this harness in there. So I decided against cutting open one of the ICMs because I could sell them to someone that needs them, or I could keep them for another engine that I have and another wiring harness that I have. So I'm not going to destroy the ICMs, but I can tell you how to wire them up
It's extremely, extremely easy. So you have a 4-pin connector going into one side of the ICM. You have a 3-pin connector going into the other side of the ICM. 2 of those connectors are brown for one of the ICMs, and then 2 of the connectors are black for the other ICM. So you have a black 4-pin, a black 3-pin, a brown 4-pin, and a brown 3-pin. They both hook up the same way, brown to brown, black to black. And the way that it works is from the 4-pin connector to the 3-pin connector. All right, so pin 1 goes to pin 3, pin 3 goes to pin 2, and pin 4 goes to pin 1. Pin 2 is not used. Pin 2 is a ground. You can use that ground for the additional ground for your coil packs that's missing from the 4-wire coil packs, but I don't generally do that. I generally run an isolated ground. So, but because I have the correct wiring for the 4-wire coil packs, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to bridge the 2 ICMs connectors together. I'm just going to cut the supply side for the ICMs and bridge in the wires from the 4-wire connectors into the smaller wires going into the ICM. Because you will notice that the 3 wires going into the ICM, the 4 wires going into the ICM are much smaller gauge than the 3 wires coming out of the ICMs. So I'm just going to bridge the small wires to the small wires that are in the 4-wire harness. Now, you don't necessarily have to do that. I'm just doing it because I have the correct wiring harness. If you don't have the correct wiring harness, just bridge those freaking wires together. It's just that the wires going to your coils will be oversized instead of the proper size. It's not going to hurt anything. It'll be a little difficult to solder the 2 wires together, but still, you just solder them together. But it's pin 1 to pin 3, pin 3 to pin 2, pin 4 to pin 1, and pin 2 is not used on the 4-pin. So, and that's for both the brown and the black. Once you do that, then all you need to do is add the 4-pin connector in there, and then the extra wire that is not connected, out of the 3 that are already in there, you'll have 1 lead that you won't have connected to anything. That extra lead is just a ground. So daisy chain 1, 3, and 5 together, and 2, 4, and 6 together, and then do a ground to either the back of the head or the valve cover or the intake manifold, wherever you can get a good solid ground. So I'm not going to actually show the work that I'm doing in there because it's not going to apply to most people. Most people, the work that they're going to do is going to be the soldering the ICM wiring together or making a bridge out of the connectors. You can buy the connectors and then just wire it up the same way, 1 to 3, 3 to 2, 4 to 1. And then 2, just leave, don't even put a wire in the jumper harness. And then again, all you have to do is add the extra ground wire at the coil pack. So I still have not been able to get a radiator for this car. I'm going to go ahead and stop this video where I'm at now. I have ordered a radiator, but it has not come in yet. So hopefully, and I'm on vacation this entire week. Tomorrow is Memorial Day. I'll have this entire week where I don't have to go to work, so I'll be able to get the car going before I have to go back the following Monday. So I'll have another video posted next weekend regarding the Audi and just showing it buttoned up, and possibly it'll more than likely include pulling my motor that the timing belt snapped on, pulling it apart and showing what happened to the heads and if there's any damage to the pistons or anything, because I have not seen inside that engine yet. Haven't even broke any of the bolts loose on it. The heads, the valve covers, all that stuff still bolted in place. I'm going to bring it down after I get my Audi running. I'm going to bring it down here onto the porch and tear it apart. As far as the Lexus goes, Terry and I have actually gotten all the parts to rebuild the engine. So I have a full timing set with water pump, full gasket kit, head gaskets up, and then front and rear main seals, timing cover. The timing cover came with all the gaskets for the front seals, but the gasket kit that we bought came with the rear main seal, and then we're going to reseal the oil pan. We're not going to replace any of the bearings, piston rings, anything like that. We're not going to do valve stem seals. We're just going to do spark plug tube seals, valve cover seals, head gaskets. water pump gasket. We're going to replace the oil pump on it. Just basically freshen the motor up without pulling the pistons and the rods out and the crankshaft out. And we're not going to pull the heads completely apart. We're going to clean them, but we're not going to remove the valves. We're not going to remove the retaining springs, the retainers, any of that stuff. I'm going to leave all that assembled, and we're just going to clean it the best that we can and replace the gaskets. So I'm hoping to show that in the next video after the one I put out next weekend, because next weekend it will definitely be the video regarding the wrap up on this Audi, because I should have the radiator back in it, and I should have all the cooling issues resolved, because I've local AutoZone had the correct sensor. Now, the sensor that I used, so that the information's out there, is for a 1997 Volkswagen Eurovan coolant temperature sensor. It is, the settings are 92 degrees Celsius on, 88 degrees Celsius off. So it turns on at 198 degrees Fahrenheit, turns off at roughly 182 or 180 or something. I'm not sure on the conversion. I just know that the specs that I looked at said it was 88 degrees Celsius, and then 92 degrees Celsius was the cut on. So that's what I'm going to run for my fans. Plus, I'm also going to have the override switch on the dash, and I'll include all that stuff in the next video. But I've already purchased that sensor. I just got to put it in the lower radiator hose. So, like always, if you guys like what you saw in this video, if it helped you in any way, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Let your friends see what I'm doing. And yeah, like I said, next video will be the teardown of the broken motor from the Audi, and then I'll get back to working on the Lexus, and then I'll probably throw some videos of me messing with the Veloster in there sporadically throughout. But I'm looking to start going hot and heavy on the Lexus, so I hope you guys will tune in for that, because I'm really excited about that build. It's not my car, but I'm really excited about that build, and I can't wait to go take it for its maiden voyage when I get done building it, because I'm going to drive that sucker as soon as I get it to start. Terry already told me to take it out and drive it and whatnot when I get it running. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to that car. I think it's going to be a blast. So hopefully you guys will tune in for that, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a great day, and have a happy Memorial Day. Thank you to all the veterans out there currently serving and who used to serve. Greatly appreciate all the freedoms that I enjoy from you guys. So have a great weekend. Y'all enjoy.